color modes in space. A color mode is defined as the colors that we see and work within an image. Different color modes are RGB, CMYK, or HSB. These modes are different methods for describing the colors used. A color space, however, is simply a variant of a color model. A color space has a range of colors. There are color spaces inside color modes. For example, the RGB model has Adobe RGB and sRGB color spaces, just to name a few. Color spaces become important when we're talking about your printer or monitor. Your printer and monitor have their own color spaces, therefore they can only reproduce colors that are in their range. When you move an image from one device to another, such as from your monitor to your printer, you may notice changes in the image colors because the different devices will interpret the colors according to the color spaces they have. Whenever you move images from one device to another, it's important to use Photoshop's color management features. This way you can make sure the colors are at least very similar so they stay consistent. Earlier in this course we talked about RGB, CMYK, and other color modes. It's important that you consider what color mode you use in your images to ensure the most consistency in colors. Here's a quick reminder of the color modes. Bitmap creates a bitmap image, and a bitmap image uses rectangular elements or pixels to create the image. Grayscale means that the image you create will be in black and white. RGB images contain 3 color channels: red, green, and blue. RGB should be used for any images that will be displayed on screen, such as on the web or in a slideshow. CMYK should be used for images that will be printed. CMYK contains 4 color channels: cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Lab color contains all the colors of RGB and CMYK. This is good to use when you're going to individually edit luminance and color values. It's also useful when creating images when working with photo CD images. Now that we've reviewed color modes, we'll talk about the variations command. You use the variations command to adjust the color balance, saturation, and contrast in an image by viewing thumbnails of alternatives. To use the variations command, go to Image, Adjustments, Variations. You see this window appears here. If you look up here at this top dialog box, you'll see a thumbnail of your original image and a thumbnail of your image with the adjustments that are currently selected. The second thumbnail is the current pick image. We haven't chosen anything yet, so right now our thumbnails are the same. But if you click on any of the adjustments below these thumbnails, such as More Blue, the current pick will change to show your selections. So you can see we've got our original, the current pick with more blue. You'll leave the check mark besides the Show Clipping option if you want to see a preview of areas in the image that have been clipped by the adjustment. And if at any point you decide that you don't like the changes you made, you can click back on Original, and that will reset all of those changes. Next, you'll choose what you want to adjust in the image. Shadows, midtones, or highlights adjust the dark, middle, and light areas. Saturation will change the hue of the image. Next, you'll use the Fine/Coarse slider to set the amount of each adjustment that you make. So for example, if we wanted to change the midtones and add a little more yellow, but not quite as much as it's giving us, we could bring that slider down and you can see how it changes. When we get it where we want it, we can click that. You see the difference here. Once you've done that, you can also adjust the brightness. Brightness is shown here. You can choose between going lighter or darker, and there's your current pick. So in this instance, I'd like to make it a little bit lighter. And if you click an adjustment more than once, it doubles the adjustment. For example, clicking on the darker adjustment once will darken the image, but if you click on it again, it will double the darkening effect. Once you've got everything the way you want it, click OK. I'm going to revert to the original image now so I can show you the auto commands. The auto commands include auto tone, auto contrast, and auto color. All of these are found here under the image menu bar. When you click auto tone, Photoshop will automatically adjust the tone for you. So pay attention to how the image changes when I click auto tone. You can see an adjustment has automatically been made. Auto color will automatically adjust the color in your image. And then lastly, auto contrast automatically adjusts the contrast in your image. Now when going through the order of these auto options, it's recommended to use auto color before you use auto tone, because sometimes using the auto tone first does weird things to the color in your images, so you'll generally get a better result if you use one before the other. But all images vary, so sometimes you'll find that using auto tone before auto color gives you a better result. Another way to adjust color in your images is to adjust the levels. The way that you do this is by going to the Adjustments panel, which is right here. And if for some reason that's not open, you can always go up to Window, Adjustments, and make sure that that is checked. So to change the levels, you'll click on the Levels icon in the Adjustments panel, which is this little icon here. And then this window will open. Now you can adjust the levels of color in the color channels. Remember, RGB has red, green, and blue channels. So you can either keep it on RGB mode to give an overall adjustment of everything, or if there's individual colors that you want to work with, you can move in and adjust those. You can also change the color and tonality of your image by adjusting the curves in the Adjustments panel using the Curve button. You'll then see this window open up. In the Curves adjustment, the straight diagonal line represents the tonal range for your image. This is your baseline and will still appear even after you adjust the curve. The horizontal lines on the graph represent input levels, and the vertical lines are output levels. You can move your mouse over the diagonal line and drag it either up or down to adjust the curve. So you can see how this is adjusting my image here. And the tonality of the image will change as you drag. So it's best to just play around with that until you get the look that you're going for. And you can see that Photoshop has automatically been creating adjustment levels. Because it does this, this makes it really easy to remove an adjustment if you're not happy with it. For example, I'm not really happy with my curves adjustment there, so I'll simply click on that, bring it down to the trash can, and it's gone.